Should they stay or should they go? No, seriously, should they go? Hey everybody, it's Paul with the 125 Roller Coaster Challenge, and today we are kicking off a brand new video concept, the Hot Topic. While most of our video content stands the test of time, with park walkthroughs, sharing park food options, and even POVs of rides, we've never really had anything that was topical. So that is how the Hot Topic was born. So let's kick this off with something the new Six Flags, headed by the Cedar Fair boys, recently hinted at, and that is the elimination of some of their parks in the near future. Now quick, a little history. Late last summer, the merger between Six Flags and Cedar Fair became a reality. While we can get into the whole debate of should this have been allowed or not, it is the new reality of the amusement park world. While Six Flags' name is the branding of this merger, the reality is the Cedar Fair management team is now in charge of the company and have already done some major changes. We all know about the all-park passport, which is a huge win, and the ride closures, bye-bye Ka, but part of the discussions on this cost-cutting has to be the closing or selling off of entire amusement parks that are currently with the chain. While at the time of this video, no parks have been put on the chopping block, this video will discuss each amusement park currently in the chain and whether they are safe or could be gone soon. Now a few ground rules before we begin. We're going to be talking about the amusement parks in this video, not the standalone water parks. Yes, there are some water parks tied to the amusement parks, but the reality is they're not going to close Soak City at Kings Island and leave Kings Island open, or vice versa. Second, we're going to be using the popular tier system that we've seen in so many other videos. Now we're going to be discussing 25 parks in this video, 11 of them being Legacy Cedar Fair parks and 14 being Legacy Six Flags parks, and we're going to be grouping them in the following tiers. The first tier is not going anywhere. These parks are completely safe. The second tier is pretty safe. We're not seeing the company getting rid of these parks, but they're not guaranteed. The third tier is on the fence. Now that gives us about a 30% chance of these parks leaving the chain. Holding their breath, this could go either way. These parks are truly a 50-50. And the last tier is out the door. We don't see them staying in the chain. Now before we dig in, we just want to reiterate that we are not saying these parks are closing. Yes, there is a chance that the park could be closed or sold off like Geauga Lake. Remember, it was Cedar Fair that sold off that park. We're just saying that these parks will no longer be in the Six Flags chain. There are parks in the past that were taken out of the Six Flags chain and are still around today, talking about Six Flags Darien Lake and even Kentucky Kingdom to name two. Okay, now let's kick off our tiers with the not going anywhere category. Now there are 5 Cedar Fair Legacy parks that fit this bill here. Cedar Point is still the flagship park, and even though the new Six Flags is no longer based in Sandusky, Ohio, the fact that 2 new coasters are opening at Cedar Point this year, Siren's Curse and the delayed Top Thrill 2, that shows that the future of this park is going to be bright. The new company is now based in Charlotte, North Carolina, so you know that Carowinds is gonna be safe. Yes, they did get rid of Nighthawk and a few other rides in the off season, but that just means that they're getting ready to add more to this park to make it a true destination. Another Beyond Safe park is the largest park in Canada, Canada's Wonderland. Just like Cedar Point, this park is adding a huge new coaster for the 2025 season, and even though they should prune a few coasters out of that lineup, you know the Cedar Fair boys love this park. While they killed Geauga Lake because it was too close to Cedar Point, the same isn't true when it comes to Kings Island. While not getting the same investment as the other parks we mentioned, Kings Island is so iconic of a park that they would even consider closing it or selling it would cause riots in the streets. Rounding out the last of the not going anywhere Cedar Fair parks is Knott's Berry Farm. While expansion to this park would be a challenge because of how landlocked it is, this is another iconic park like Kings Island that could never be considered for removal. Okay, that is the safe Cedar Fair parks. Now about the Legacy Six Flags parks. we see 3 that are not going anywhere. Yes, they removed Kingda Ka, Zuma Majaro, Green Lantern, and more over the summer, but Six Flags Great Adventure isn't going anywhere. This park is being cleaned up because we see the new Six Flags wanting to turn this into another destination park. There will be a lot of investment in this park in the next 10 years, and we can't wait to see it. Six Flags Magic Mountain is another iconic Six Flags park that is pretty safe. The flagship of the old Six Flags, this park might not be getting the same amount of investment as Great Adventure, but will continue to get the love and care that it truly deserves. The final not going anywhere park is Six Flags Great America. The third of the mega Six Flags parks, this park is right outside of Chicago, and having such an iconic ride lineup, this park is really not going anywhere. So there you go, 8 parks that aren't going anywhere. Do you agree? Let us know in the comment section. Now let's discuss the pretty safe parks, and here there's only 1 Cedar Fair park and 4 Six Flags. King's Dominion is located about an hour from Busch Gardens Williamsburg, but tends to hold its own when it comes to attendance. While it is close to Six Flags America, this park has gotten a lot of investment in the past years. The entire Jungle Expedition section and the new Reptera coaster, to name a few. This park is pretty safe because it hits the attendance numbers along with having some iconic coasters. On the legacy Six Flags front, Six Flags Fiesta Texas fits the same mold as King's Dominion. Not a mega park, but one that gets the investment along with its total uniqueness. Over the years, this park has gotten a lot of love from the Six Flags chain, and we see the new management continuing this trend. While Canada's Wonderland is the largest amusement park in Canada, the same can be said for Six Flags Mexico, and we know this park isn't going anywhere. While not quite as loved as other parks mentioned before, this park adds a lot to the Six Flags portfolio, and unless there's issues with the relationship between the United States and Mexico, this park is going to be pretty safe. This next park could be seen as more in danger than we think, and that is Six Flags New England. While not as safe as any of the others in this tier, we think that the recent investments and the lack of real competition in that area, this park still has a solid future. Don't get us wrong, this park could be more in danger than we think with how landlocked it is and with the cost of operations, but right now, we're going to stick with it being pretty safe. Our final park in this tier has gotten a lot of press and corporate support in the recent months, and that is Six Flags Over Georgia. Another isolated park near a major population center, Atlanta. We had this park on the fence about a month ago, but with the positive corporate reports highlighting this park in particular, we now know it's pretty safe. Now we're on the third tier, which is on the fence, and some of these parks are here because they're smaller, and others are because they have some saving grace. The 2 legacy Cedar Fair parks in this tier are Valley Fair and Worlds of Fun. Both of these parks have always been on the lower end of the Cedar Fair chain, never getting a lot of new investments, but always kind of keeping the status quo. We see the same with the new chain and its future. We don't see either of these parks leaving unless the chain really needs to cut more money than we think. Both parks are profitable and require minimum investments. Now, we know what you're thinking. What about the other 2 Cedar Fair parks that are usually mentioned with these 2? We're going to be discussing them more later. Now, for the 4 Six Flags parks that are on the fence. Well, 2 of these are here kind of because of the same status as Valley Fair and Worlds of Fun, and 2 are here because of their situations. Six Flags Discovery Kingdom and Six Flags Over Texas both are profitable and require minimum investments to keep them going. Of course, Six Flags Over Texas has a little bit of history helping them since they were the first ever Six Flags park, and we can say the same for Valley Fair. But while not as safe as Fiesta Texas, if one of those 2 have to go, we feel that it's going to be Six Flags Over Texas. Now, Discovery Kingdom has a little bit more cost involved with the animals, but because it's near San Francisco and will soon be the only park in the area, that keeps it above the holding their breath category. As for the other parks in this tier, L'Orange and Six Flags Darien Lake might be on the chopping block if it wasn't for their arrangements. Both of these parks are actually not owned by Six Flags. Six Flags is in a management agreement with them. Because of this, both of these parks, while maybe not the most profitable or crowded, are pretty safe because closing these parks is really not an option. Now it's time to discuss the parks that might be sweating it out a little bit. There are 4 parks that are holding their breath and could go either way, 50-50 in the next 5 years. So Dorney Park just had some major investments in the last year and has historically been on the same level as Worlds of Fun and Valley Fair. All 3 of these parks got B&M inverts, Morgan hypers, and have gone years before major investments. So why is Dorney holding their breath while the others are on the fence? Simply said, Six Flags Great Adventure. While Six Flags Great Adventure is not going anywhere, Dorney Park is only about 60 miles away. Will the new Six Flags see this as a positive, or could this be another Geauga Lake situation? Now, we don't see Dorney closing, but we could see it being sold off to another chain. What are your thoughts? The other classic Cedar Fair park holding their breath is Michigan's Adventure, simply because it is the lowest rated park in that chain. Isolated and never getting much investment, if they need to make some cuts, this one would be prime. The 2 Six Flags parks that are holding their breath are Great Escape and Six Flags St. Louis. We aren't sure the arrangement that Great Escape has with Six Flags, but it could be another LaRonde or Darien Lake. And if that is the case, this park's going to survive. But if not, it would depend on how much profit they bring in every year. As for Six Flags St. Louis, this is another historical park in the chain, but unlike the others, this park has not gotten much investment over the years. Like Dorney, we see it being sold off instead of being closed. Now for the 2 parks that we see going out the door. California's Great America is a no-brainer. It's already been sold off land-wise, and then they're just basically running out the clock. Will they speed up the closure? That's a big possibility, but the history of this park has already been written. The park we are most worried about is Six Flags America, and it has a lot of strikes going against it. First off, it's pretty close to Kings Dominion, so we're pretty sure that in a competition between those 2, it's going to be Six Flags America that gets eliminated. Second, the chain actually owns this park and the land, and with its location, that land could be more valuable than the park, kind of like what happened with California's Great America. Finally, this park has always been low on the attendance front. Last year, they did put some investment into the park with the brand new Steamtown section, but they have also downsized the park with closing off flat rides in the Mardi Gras section, killing the entire Whistle Stop Kiddie section, and just simply eliminating paths throughout the entire park. So there you go, our complete tier board. What do you think? Any parks on here you think might be closer to actually closing? How about some parks that you think are safer than we do? Let us know in the comment section, and what do you think about this new video segment? Do you want to see more of our hot topics? Thanks for watching, and enjoy the video above that the YouTube algorithm thinks you're going to love.